A lark and her momster are coming your way. Gonna tell it how it is, so won't you join us today? Hello, and welcome back to another episode of A Lark and Her
Momster.
I don't know where that came from.
Me
So today we are super excited because we have a guest with us.
Oh, wait, before we talk about our guest, we have to talk about the wine.
I don't know what just happened, but something just in the kitchen.
I think it was a candle.
Y'all, I saw the presents yesterday. Maybe it's a presence.
It is.
Anyway.
Probably a present.
Okay, well, before we introduce our lovely guest, we will talk about our wine, which is delicious. It's called Our Daily Cab, and it was actually a gift from our friend Steve, Dog Park Steve.
Go Steve! We love Steve.
We do, and wines from people we hold dear are almost always the ones that taste the best, or look the prettiest at least, but this one's pretty good.
It actually is.
It's like drinking juice. But today's wine
Not really.
I mean, you know, like...
Alcoholic juice?
No, like the grape juice at church that they call grape juice, but it's really wine.
I don't know which juice you were... Because you didn't go to church that much.
No, but when I did.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, so today's wine was crafted without preservatives and has dark fruit notes of plum and ripe blackberry layered with aromas of tasted vanilla. Tasted vanilla? Was that supposed to be toasted vanilla?
I don't know.
Okay.
I mean, probably toasted vanilla.
I mean, it could be tasted vanilla.
I've never had toasted vanilla, so I don't know. I mean, I know what vanilla tastes like, but...
It contains no sulfates, it's gluten-free and vegan, which we love.
Which is why our friend Steve loves it. Because he's all about the food and...
He's like a foodie, but like a good, healthy foodie.
Right, he's very into being very health conscious in what he eats.
We love you, Steve.
No preservatives.
No.
And he is so much fun at the dog park.
He's the best. He's like...
And at Cheekwood.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had the umbrella.
We have great friends.
We
and
do.
You know who else we have today?
We have a really good friend.
Exactly.
Because, guess what?
What?
Sometimes when daughters grow up and become moms, it's to boys.
That's true. Not me. So...
No.
No.
Never.
Never.
And although we have focused more on mother-daughter topics, the reality is that relationships are hard for everyone.
Yeah.
Right?
And I've had friends that have wanted to hear more about mother-son relationships because, you know, they're dads or they're moms with boys. So I love that we're talking about that.
Yeah, we can't ignore the male gender.
No, we can't.
Yeah, it's
y'all are
important.
important.
So today we're super excited to have our friend, and many of you have heard about the tiny house.
It's not a tiny... I'm sorry, Amanda, but I have to... Her name's Amanda, by the way. She will introduce herself. It is not a tiny house.
It is a tiny house.
It lives big.
I
love that. It lives big. It's not tiny.
It's not tiny. It's a cabin, and it's so livable, though. It's so nice. It's perfect.
It is.
I love it. I go there, and I'm like, I'm not leaving, but
you could totally live there.
I could.
Yeah.
I really honestly could.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, it just, you know, you get up there and it's just like, it just feels like a warm hug, like when you walk in.
It does.
Yeah.
And that's what I want it to feel like for anybody who goes there, especially you guys. And I love that you love to be up there and can do your podcast from there because it is just
so much fun.
The most wonderful place to me, at least. But
no, we agree with you. And by the way, this is Amanda. Amanda, say hi.
Hi, everyone.
Thank you so much for being here today.
Yes,
We appreciate
thank you for having me.
And
of course.
Amanda is a single mom to 2 boys, including a 16-year-old. And since we know that adolescence is a tough time,
Hormones, y'all.
well, we meaning me knows this.
Okay, Mino's adolescence was hard too. I went through it. Also, I'm going to pause this for 2 seconds because my dog has found a ball. So we're going to remove this ball from her mouth and we will proceed soon.
We'll be right back.
Stand by.
Without a ball.
Please stand by. I just want to say that
Until she woo-woos you.
I have 3 balls in my lap right now because my dog keeps trying to get the ball
She
and
keeps
squeak
finding the
it.
balls. Okay.
Really apropos time, Luna. We're going through adolescence.
Are we recording?
We are.
Yes, she is going through her adolescence. Yes.
So back to Amanda.
Because Amanda is is our guest.
She's the focus of today's
Welcome.
So, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, and she's willing to share some of her experiences. So it means a lot when people are willing to come in and be a little vulnerable and share, so that people can learn. And I think it just makes life easier when you know you're not freaking alone.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
So tell us a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm drinking. By the way, by the way, I am drinking out of my engraved monster glass.
I did not get it for her, but we did go into a store in the French Quarter and
You did
find
get it for me.
Oh, I did get it for you. That's right, I did.
What do you mean you didn't get it for me?
I didn't know you saw it though. I saw the towel. You saw that.
I know.
What did the
you
towel
bought
say
it
again?
for me for my birthday.
I did. That's right. I forgot.
Oh, the towel says the knife stays in the box.
No,
referring
the
to
one about the
King Box.
daughter. A daughter is like having a best friend that's broke.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
It's totally true.
It is.
It's sadly true. I saw it and I was like, it's funny. And she's like, I need that.
Here.
And so, okay. Having a daughter is like having a broke best friend who thinks you're rich.
Same goes for sons, by the way.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, I bet too. Yeah, because, I don't know what your sons are into, but I mean, I know, like, Nico loves, like, video games and things like those are really expensive.
Well, people don't know who Nico is.
Okay, I don't know how to describe Nico. He's basically a cousin. We're just going to leave that there.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So there is that. Yeah.
Back to Amanda. Sorry, Amanda.
So tell us a little bit about what it's like raising boys.
You see all these like cheesy things that they're like, having boys is like, they're going to come and they're going to fart on you and then they're going to scream and run around and then they're going to come and destroy everything and then give you a hug and kiss you 5 times. And then you're like, oh, that's okay. That's fine. It's sweet. Mm-hmm. Raising boys or having boys is just different because I've never been a boy. And so,
Really?
no, turns out I've never,
Amanda's never been a boy.
So I actually had this conversation. So I have a 16-year-old in a couple of weeks who is dying to start driving, and I'm terrified. But I think he's going to be okay. And then my youngest son, today is his half birthday, and he's 10 and a half today.
And happy birthday!
Growing up, my mom always made a big deal about half birthdays for some reason, but mostly because he has a summer birthday. So going all the way back to preschool, they were like, we're going to celebrate your half birthday. So I had all these great memories that came up today on Time Hop and put together a little reel for Instagram and about it being his half birthday, and drove cookies to school today so that he could have a celebration because,
You're such a good mom.
Well, I don't know about all that, but, it's just, you just always want them to feel celebrated. But, so having the almost 16-year-old and the 10-and-a-half-year-old and, both of them being boys, it's just interesting now at this place in life that I'm in. I was always with them a ton from the very get-go because their dad traveled a ton, still does, and that's part of his profession and career and whatever, but they're with me a lot. So,
and you're a single mom now.
Yes, I am a single mom.
And I think today's a special, day.
Yes.
We won't say what it is, but we should toast to it.
Oh, thank you.
Well, I don't know what I'm toasting to, but I'm excited to find out. Okay. Woo.
Just being candid, and I don't think that it makes a difference to anybody. I mean, it is what it is, but it took a while, and it was not expected and not what I really thought my life was going to look like right now. But my divorce was final a year ago today, but I think that the other side of it is that, where I am today as to where I was a year ago, and then still having some good things to celebrate, especially with Baker and his birthday or half birthday.
So Baker is the 10-and-a-half-year-old.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and Hunter's 16.
Okay.
But raising boys it is different, you know, again, because I've never experienced that. And I'm dealing now with kind of hormonal changes with the 16-year-old, and he's dying for independence. And, you know, I'm like fighting the battle of paying attention, but not being overbearing.
Right.
Or, you know, he's mortified of me, or he wants my, you know, like, so.
Undivided attention.
Correct. Which is not very often.
There's no middle ground in teenage years. It's very extreme.
No, it's horrible. I mean, it's horrible, but it's beautiful because it's helping them learn their independence. And yet, I think for a parent...
Or codependence.
Or codependence.
In my case.
I mean,
I tried. I was the one pushing you.
You were. I was fine.
pushing.
Once I got to England, I was great. I was fine.
Yeah.
And they're so they're you know, what little I know about, you know, attachment with personalities is that, you know, I've got one that's an avoidant. And I've got one that is the opposite.
Right.
And like trying to strike the balance with both of them.
Because you can't raise them exactly alike.
No.
Right? But you have to have consistent boundaries.
Right.
Or there is frustration.
Right.
Yeah.
So the oldest now, I mean, and I even go back to when they were little. I mean, when they were little, boys love their mamas. Like they just do. And they do. And they love their fathers too. But there's just something about that sweet, sweet love of a boy and their mother. So where I struggle right now with my oldest, it's like, okay, he doesn't have that right now.
At
like
the moment.
he does. He does.
Yeah.
But he doesn't want to show it or express it or whatever. And he doesn't know what he's thinking. And, you know.
Right.
And so then my youngest is so heavily attached to me still. But even their coping skills as babies, like they were very different.
Yeah.
And so, you know, the thing about with the boys is just trying to figure it out and not screw them up. Like,
well, okay, I'm just gonna say one thing. Every parent's gonna screw up their kid in some way, shape, or form.
sure, absolutely.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. But it's a beautiful screw up because I think parents so often are like, I want to get this right. Like I, you know, you read all the books and you read the psychology and you read what you feed them. And at the end of the day, you're going to say something one day that we're going to take to heart, or you're going to take off your fake skin and traumatize them. And
she's talking about when I had a mask on my face once when she was young. And she came in the bathroom, and we've already talked about this on the podcast.
Yeah, but I don't know if
she's
Amanda knows.
Ever traumatized. She's listened to
I
the
walked
podcast.
okay, but I walked in and I was like, and she was peeling it off. I'm like, what are you doing? And she's like, oh,
I'm peeling on my face.
I'm peeling my face off.
She was,
and I was like little and traumatized.
She
It was terrifying.
Right, I'm so sorry.
You loved it.
No, I laughed, but
Yeah.
I felt bad.
No, did you?
I did.
But I'm
I
just
felt
saying
bad that you felt bad.
that like no parent is ever going to be. I mean, you're all perfect to us. Like I see my mom and she's like the best mom ever, right? Your sons see you. Yeah, you are. You're better than a lot. Anyway,
Some days you don't like me.
Well, I always love you though, and
Yeah.
that's what we're talking about.
Yes.
Is that we always love you, and you'll inevitably. Not you, but just like inevitably parents screw us up. And
well, and they do. And then, you know, I think that I feel an enormous amount of pressure / guilt, which, you know, I mean, again, I can be candid on this show.
Yeah.
I hope that
Yes, of course.
that
We love that.
I never expected nor wanted this to be the way that it is, but I have had 3+ years to process it. And now, you know, moving into this next kind of phase, I'm starting to find things for myself that make me feel whole again. One, being involved with, you know, your organization and those kinds of things that just gives me just a new renewed sense of purpose. Because I've, you know, been a mom always, and I've been a whatever. And so I think that is one of the things for my boys to see, not just that I am their mom that does everything for them, but I'm hoping to emulate something that for them when they go to choose their partner, that like, and I realize that this is the hardest part. We're getting into this phase with my youngest where he's getting into that preteen, prepubescent.
It's Friday.
And he's starting to get
Friday and we're drinking wine.
Right, exactly. And he's kind of getting slightly manipulative. Like, I think he kind of knows how to play his dad and me.
Oh yeah.
And I hate it. I hate that part for him because he was so little when we did split, and now he's like getting into that phase where it's like if his life looks different than anybody else's, regardless if it's because of the divorce or because of his height or his weight or his athletic skills or whatever, he doesn't want to be different than anybody. So
and that's hard because I feel like you want to protect them so much.
You do.
Like, as a parent, you want to protect them, and I can like see it as you're talking about it, like just this like emotional kind of connection of like, I want you to know how special you are and how wonderful you are no matter what's happening around you.
And for who you are.
Right.
And how you are.
Right.
And how you look. And all of those things. And it's hard because there's so much pressure on kids. Did you have any boys in your life growing up? Do you have brothers?
I have a little brother. He is 6 years younger than I am. So my sister and I are like 27 months apart and have been very close except for a stretch of time in high school, which we hated each other. I was a cheerleader. She was a drama person. Like, she was
the artsy one.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
she had her, burlap Converse, and I was,
And you ended up going into finance.
Right, exactly. But I mean, actually it's funny because she is more competitive with her children and their sports and whatnot than I am with mine. So I never, and I was always
funny.
I know, isn't it? It was like a total role reversal.
Yeah.
But yes, so we had our little brother, and kind of going back to like the mom-daughter thing. And I thought about this after I was reading through this, and I hope to not go off,
We're
this
free flow.
Too much.
No. Here's the thing. It's like these are guidelines.
Okay.
It's not a script. It's a
Yeah.
guideline.
Well, and I live my life with guidelines.
Yes.
So my dad, they had a complicated relationship. My dad and my mom did. And my brother came as a surprise at a time in their life, in their marriage, where it wasn't exactly good.
Right.
This was in the 80s. It's either, you had working mom and TV dinners, or you had stay-at-home mom that, did everything, and the dad went and did his thing. And so my dad worked a ton. So it made me think a little bit about, because my mom was very hard on me, especially to be very like driven, career driven, motivated, because I think that she felt like she missed this window of opportunity. And so it was like, okay, you got to be Y's in a day kind of thing.
Right.
When my little brother came along, I think that she leaned into him so much as an outlet because she and my dad weren't in a great space. And so I feel like she coddled and babied him so much because, she needed that male attachment.
Interesting how that...
Then, meanwhile, my sister and I were sneaking off and dressing him up in our, baby doll clothes and telling him his name was Megan because we said that.
And that's perfectly okay.
If we wanted a baby sister, and so we're like, what's your name? He's like, Clay. And we're like, no, it's Megan. We're like, don't tell mom.
One name.
But she did, I don't want to say she did him a disservice. He's now learning he had failure to launch for a while. But now he's really, now that he's a father and he, has got some good responsibilities and found his place in his professional path.
Yeah.
But that was one of the things, or that is one of the things that always kind of holds back in my mind, because I'm like, well, shit. Now I'm 85% responsible for this because their dad is gone so often, and when he is home, it's usually weekends and fun.
So
let's go to Tinker Outlets. Disney Dad. And I'm not going to. We are great co-parents.
Yeah.
but it's just there's just not enough of the shared of
right,
it.
right.
So
not enough of the shared day to day of it.
Yeah.
So
you can be great co-parents and focus on the kids' primary well-being, but at the end of the day, if you're not in it to win it, minute to minute.
God, I was about to say, like, well, we about to flow here? What are we doing? Like, if you're not in it to win it minute to minute, you gotta give it some space. I don't know.
Okay, anyway.
I think that, you know,
it's just harder.
I think about that all the time because I'm like, okay, well, I don't want Hunter to be 40 years old just figuring it out. Now, Hunter has different opportunities than, and both of them do, socioeconomically, than either he or his dad and I did growing up. But there is a higher expectation of, you know, what they're gonna do and where they're gonna go and what they're gonna achieve, kind of thing.
Right.
But you know, I kind of look back and I'm like, golly, my mom had to do both parts and she didn't know.
So in some ways, you are repeating what your mom went through.
Yeah, and I guess what I'm saying is I empathize.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to break the cycles.
Right.
And there are other, you know, kind of familial, as my dad used to always say, and generational things that have existed on my side, you know,
Right.
you know, fairly enough to say, along with their dad, that like, I'm like, I cannot let these boys do these same things. Like,
right.
they have to be better men than this.
Yes. Yes.
Better
and
men. Better
came
men.
from the better men. Sorry.
So anyway, yeah.
So I will say yes, and I think sometimes, and this is just coming from my mom had high expectations of me. She didn't want me to follow in the same footsteps as her. In doing so, I got fucked up because I was an over people pleaser to where I became a doormat, to where I just wanted everyone to like me, so I did everything for everyone to like me, which actually hurt me in the long run. Yeah. And so I don't think sometimes parents of girls or boys think about, you know, how much pressure we put on them to not be like us, right? Like, we don't want you to make the same mistake. Mm-hmm. I feel like they're going to make mistakes. It may not be the same mistake. And
I think that's and I did some research into this because...
Of course you do.
I love that you do, because I love any and all the things that I don't have to go and look up myself.
And because I have never been a boy or raised a boy,
but
even had a lot of boys in my life.
But I will say that it's interesting. I want to talk to you about this because it's interesting to hear what it's like to raise a boy, because I always had a more masculine side. My masculine so overpowered my feminine, if that makes sense. Like, I was very much a tomboy. I wanted to be rough and tumble. Because I felt like I needed to protect my mom, right? Because it was just she and I. So she never put that on me, but it's just how it was. And I was like, okay, well, I don't have a dad, so I gotta be tough, you know? Mm-hmm. So...
You didn't think I was tough enough?
You were working really hard and you were stressed a lot, and I saw that a lot.
God, my poor children say that all the time,
yeah.
and quite honestly,
you can't hide it.
No, and you cannot hide it. And now
it
is, and this is so bad, y'all. Like, going through the trauma of the divorce process, like it was like at some point I was like, you know, because before it was like everything was like, okay, I know where you're going, what you're doing. You know, I've signed you up for this. You know, I'm at this event. I'm at that. I'm the presence because I knew I needed to be.
Right.
And
but
then
not the presence. Sorry,
she went to a movie last night.
Sorry. But yeah, no. So it was like I felt like I had to be everything to everybody. And in a career, which was it is a very male-driven industry.
Very
I am
male-driven.
the only female mostly in my industry to have the ownership. I have all male business partners. Like,
wow.
You know, so but then learning that balance of, okay, you can be like firm and, have that masculine energy that makes them respect you and understand you. But then you also still have to be soft enough to where they're going to listen and be understanding about that I'm still a mom and I'm still somebody's wife or I'm still whatever.
Right. And you're still a woman.
Yeah.
Correct. And I don't want to lose that.
And there is nothing wrong
and you won't.
with that. And
I'm learning that. Like, I'm learning how
I don't want to be
softer.
that, like, ball buster that they're like, ugh, here she comes. Like, like, it just, there are certain things in that, dynamic that you have to find the right balance.
Right.
But then also still being the PTO mom, still cheering the stuff for the kids and showing up and volunteering and folding bulletins or whatever it is.
Making
and
the
kids
cookies,
see that. Yes, making the cookies, cheering all the events and all the things. So I wanted, it got to, but so that was me, and I held that at such a, I don't even know how. Like all the plates were spinning and they were fine until they came crashing down.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so then after that, I kind of got this like, fuck it. Attitude.
Love it.
Like if I can get up,
my refrigerator. Be nice or fuck off.
Yeah.
if I can get up out of bed. And that was the thing. Like I never had that opportunity, and not that anybody should or could, but when you have kids and you go through divorce and you have all these other obligations, I don't know who gets to run off to some med spa and just like collect their life and their thoughts because it doesn't stop.
No, I can't. I wish I could do that for her these days. Like I wish I could just send her off because I'm like, I know I was a lot, and I was one person, so I can't imagine having.
Were you?
Well, listen, my multiple personality disorder.
He doesn't have that.
I don't have that.
But
my boys are great, and they have processed it all very differently.
Yeah.
And I decided from the very get-go of when this all really happened that I put heartbreak aside. I can't think about the loss of my marriage. I can only right now think about how I can keep these kids from, and I can't protect them from everything. I mean, that's but
that's what moms do.
That's what moms do. And
in the back seat.
You're right. And, again, there were days that I just thought, I don't know what to do. And, I used to be like very careful about what I said around them and the language that I used. And now, quite honestly, with my teenager, it's more effective when I use cuss words. When I say, like, hey, just FYI, the way you're acting makes you look like an asshole.
Yeah.
And he's like, okay, mom. You know what I mean? Like, and I know that sounds weird, but you kind of
meet
them where they're at.
You do. You have to meet them where they're at. That's so funny. The movie I watched last night, the dad was like, the son was cussing for a long time. The dad was like, you could say, like, you could describe this without using all those words, and you could just, and he's like, you know what? You're acting like he literally said, you're acting like a fucking asshole right now. And the son was like, okay, maybe I am acting like an asshole right now.
No, I mean,
I
swear that's terrible.
You have to like meet them.
So that's where I am with my oldest, and then with my youngest, like he's so hyper emotional and aware. Like he's always been like this since he was a baby, and I have always been able to understand his emotional standpoint, whereas my oldest is a lot more like his dad. So it's like I kind of have to think about.
Have to be two different people.
Yeah,
sometimes.
you do.
Yeah.
And when Baker was little and he would get upset about something, he would get so just overly emotional, and the only thing I could do was just pick him up, push him against my chest, press as hard as I could against his back, and just get him to calm down.
Yeah.
And he's still a little bit that way. He is so protective of me. And I think that they see, I'm not saying I hope later on they're like, oh, my mom did this, my mom did that.
Kids see.
Right,
I will say that I saw things even at 12, 13, 14 years old that she probably didn't think I saw. But, you carry it into adulthood, and then you talk about it later on when you're, in your 20s and you can drink. But kids
or
see
18
things,
and living in England.
And, but kids see things, and we may not say anything about it, but we know and we do appreciate it. Like, it may not seem like we do in that moment, but later on in life, there's a moment where it clicks and we're like, oh shit. Like, wow, they really did all of that for me. Like, and they still need to be who they are. You
right.
know what I mean?
Then,
like,
and
that's
finding that, like
balance.
Yeah. Or just that slack of, okay, I'll give you this, but don't go too far. Right. And I have lots of friends who have boys, and I love that. I mean, a lot of my friend group are older than I am, and they do have boys, and they're like, look, because there was a period of time I was like, oh, Hunter's good. He's never going to be like your kid. Like, in my mind.
Never say never.
I know, but I was like, oh, I'm in the clear. He's just so sweet, and he's so great, and he's so respectful, and well, no, that didn't happen because puberty and teenage years and hormones and all the things.
Yeah.
And so, but they're like, Amanda, keep doing what you're doing because they're always going to come back. The boys will come back. Yeah. And, my youngest, he's so sweet, and he's so hyper keyed in to any of my emotions, and there was, we actually have him in therapy now because now that he's hitting like 10, 11 years old,
great.
A lot of this stuff is surfacing where he was like 7, 8 years old, and he didn't really get what was going on. And I am very grateful that my ex-husband is supportive, their father.
That's great.
And we both agree that it's necessary because, and he actually is a lot more sensitive to emotions than he ever was before, because I was always the one. So like when I would, be holding him and he's like, don't coddle him, don't do this. And I'm like, I know my children. I'm a mother. I know my children. Like, I know what they need. I know that this is what he needs to calm down. And there was one day when we were driving to school, and it was a hard day. It was one of those days where I barely got out of bed, and I was doing everything I could to not cry. And Baker could sense that, and he just was like, Mom, and he was like, are you okay? And I said, no, but I will be.
Good response, because it's important to be honest.
Yes.
Because if you tell them, no, I'm fine.
It's fine, it's all good.
Right, then they know.
You don't want to lie to them, but you don't want to give them...
We know.
I learned from my mistakes.
I know.
Thank you very much.
I know.
I actually, as I mentioned, did some research, and one of the sites that I found was secureteen.com. And I looked for specific things related to teen boys and single moms, because it's harder when you're a single parent. It just is. And even if you're co-parenting, like you said, the majority of that falls on the mom, because traditionally we're more of the nurturer. We're more of the one that feels the guilt. We just, we're all the shit. Anyway.
Y'all are the shit.
Yeah, but they had some really great.
No,
exactly.
y'all are like the shit. Trust me.
But they had some great things that it's important with teenagers, because they are they're testing out their independence, but they still need the nurturing.
Right? Oh yeah,
it's like it's almost like having an adult-sized toddler in some ways, that they're going to go out there and try.
I feel like an adult-sized toddler sometimes.
I mean, honestly, they're going to go out there and try and like check things out, but then they're going to come back and want the hug, right? So this particular site suggested creating clear boundaries.
Yeah.
But don't keep checking on them. Be very clear. Hey, I expect you back by 10 o'clock. If you're not going to be back by 10 o'clock, let me know why. Just know there may be consequences, kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
And something I'm so grateful that, in getting to know you and hearing that you never speak negatively about their father in front of them.
Yeah.
That you have eaten all of your own emotions and feelings to be the best parent for them possible, right? So it doesn't matter how you feel, you're gonna speak positively about their dad. And that's something else that was important.
And that's hard because I know there's probably urges to tell the truth, honestly, you know? Yeah. There were times, like you and I, we would get into arguments and I would say, I was a girl. I don't know. Girls, I think, are worse, honestly.
Yeah. Boys just shut down and don't pay attention.
No,
to you,
we know what hurts. And I would say really hurtful things. And there were a couple times where she'd be like, "Well, your dad, you know, this and this and this," and then so I started to create this idea around whom I didn't really know my dad. I didn't have a great relationship with him. I had some memories from like when I was a kid. So I think it's really hard because if you're pushed to your limit, you're going to want to tell the truth. You know what I mean? Or you're going to want to say how you feel. So there's a lot of strength in being able to hold on to that.
Yeah, it really is.
And I will say that I have, you know, I always, throughout our relationship and throughout the breakup and whatever, you know, I don't like to go low. I had been in a previous relationship.
Kind of like Michelle Obama says, don't go low.
Right. Mm-hmm. And it just, you can't go back. Like once you start that pattern in a relationship, you know, and even if during whatever period of time, like if, and this is kind of not really related to, but something that I want my children to also not do, but, you know, if he were coming at me just because, you know, like when you start in an argument and then, and I, now that I get really frustrated with my teenage son and now I want to just get, I'm mad and I have to remember that he's my child. He's not an adult. He's not my spouse. He's not my significant other. Like he is a 16-year-old boy. Mm-hmm. And he, you know, he doesn't have a good barometer on what he's feeling. And he won't for a long time.
His brain won't be fully developed till he's 27.
Right. Yeah. So what I have to really try to remember is that one, when I get mad at him, I'm like, he's a child.
Yeah.
You know, but there were a couple of times throughout the process where it just was so overwhelming and I was so mad, and I wasn't necessarily mad at what was happening, but I mean, we got stranded down at the Titan Stadium and my phone died and we couldn't get to the Uber app and we couldn't find the guy, and
stressful.
It was stressful. I got mad and I blamed it on their dad, and he wasn't even in town. But at that moment, I was just that mad.
Yeah.
And of course, I went on the apology tour after that for the kids, and they're like, "Mom, it's okay." Yeah, like, it's okay.
Yeah.
But
I love that. The apology tour. I'm going to steal that.
Same. That's great.
So, you know, I really try to put all that aside because, and you know, my co-parenting relationship with my ex-husband or their dad or whatever, it hasn't served me well in relationships that I've tried to have, because I think that there's something that they want me to have the clean break. They don't want that part of it. And it's like, okay, if I have to be by myself until I get my kids grown and out of my home, like, we are going to do things together. We are going to still go to dinner together for Hunter's birthday because that's what he wants, you know? And
if it's,
and I think that's healthy. And the kids don't have an expectation that we're going to get back together.
Yeah.
Well, and I think if someone walks into your life and they're not willing to be able to, or not able to recognize that you're a better human because of who you are for your kids, then you don't need them.
Right. And I agree with you. And like, that was kind of one of the things the points that you made about, you know, having healthy relationships with other males, you know, because I can't be the mother and the father, I don't know how to do that.
Right.
You know, and that was part of the argument that I had with Hunter a couple weeks ago or whatever. And I just said, honey, I'm trying to understand you. I don't understand you. Mm-hmm. I don't understand. I remember being a teenager, but I don't know what it feels like to be you. I don't know what it feels like to have the pressure that you have at school. He's at an all-boys school, and they have heavy pressure. But I do think that is an incredible influence on him, because he has got amazing mentors, teachers,
that's great.
You know, and both of the boys. And I will just go ahead and tell you that it is a privilege that we are able to do that for our children and have them in these private school environments, because they offer these people that can help, and they have just...
It takes a village.
Well, and one of the positive childhood experiences that help buffer ACEs like divorce is having 2 or more adults in a child's life who are not their parents, who care about them.
Yes, and my brother-in-law, my sister's husband, is amazing. He's great. You know, we're all very close, and Matt's been wonderful. And then, you know, both of the kids have Baker leans towards the women more, I think, for emotional support, where Hunter kind of, you know, and I've had to encourage him to lean into his friends.
I do have a query. I have a question.
Okay. Yeah.
So because this is new territory, right?
Yeah.
And I know, being the daughter of a single mom, I felt like I had to be not the other spouse. It sounds weird, but like I had to help with the balance, right? Like I had to protect.
So are you thinking he feels like he needs to be the man of the house?
So I was thinking, like, which one do you think might have more of that pressure, like innately, or
I don't think either one of them do.
No, that's awesome.
Part of and when I read that, when you said, I thought that since the beginning. Like, they will never, they're not the man of the house. They shouldn't be. They're kids.
Right.
Exactly.
You know?
I love that you know that. Like, it's because I think we're going to have an episode where we talk to my boyfriend, because he's got the complete opposite experience of like how you're raising your boys.
Okay.
So he also grew up in like the latchkey kid era. So,
well, yeah, that was me.
Right. So he was the man of the house, you know, and he's taken that on for his whole life, but emotionally too, you know? So it's kind of like, that's incredible that you're able to like see that and understand that and not
their dad pushes them to do more, I think, sort of. I don't know. We had a whole argument over laundry and why my oldest wears so many clothes and has so many towels constantly, and he blames it on a leaky whatever. And our plumber today confirmed that there's nothing leaking.
Oh, I'm sure it's a leaky
it's
something.
He's not putting the liner in, and he takes an hour shower. But
does he do his own laundry?
No.
Well,
but we're getting there. We're getting there.
Because that's one of the things
we're getting there. Because he did come to me.
Make them do their own thing.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes. So we are getting there. And I did say to him, I just said, look, Hunter, I love you, but he came to me and he was like, when are you going to do the laundry? Because I've run out of whatever. And I was like, well, we're going to go right now and I'm going to show you. I was like, you can do it yourself. And he was like, well, Mom, I don't know how to use your washer. And I was like, oh my God, you've lived here for almost 5 years. Like, how in the world do you not know?
It's so easy.
But I think what I had said to him, I was like, you know, bud, I don't know how to explain to you what it's like. I was like, you know, and again, when I was saying about not talking negatively about his dad, this is the God's honest truth. He's gone a lot. They were just with me for over 3 weeks while he was traveling to China and all these things. Mm-hmm. And that business and my career and whatever has afforded us the ability to send them to great schools and pay for therapy and, you know, all the things. And that is not lost on me by any stretch. But, you know, I did say, I was like, I need some help. Mm-hmm. I was like, y'all are with me a lot. And I was like, and I'm working some days 12 and 13 hours a day. Mm-hmm. And then I'm doing all the mom things. And I was like, and you walked past the garbage twice, 3-4 times and saw that it was full. I was like, I just want you to recognize that I need some help. I was like, yes, I can afford to pay people to come here and renovate the bathroom and do the things that your dad and I used to do together. But I was like, but I didn't ask him to be the man of the house, but I asked him to man
different.
up.
See, and I think that's different. Yeah, I think.
And I also think that that's a great opportunity after that conversation to
set
create
those boundaries.
Right, to set some of those boundaries and to say, look, you know, you're at an age now where you can start taking care of yourself. This is a great opportunity to prepare for going to college and to living on your own. And so I'm going to help you be prepared because it takes more energy.
Yeah.
You know? And so we're going to create like a schedule. And later on in life, when you have roommates, when you're off at university or when you're sharing an apartment with someone, or even when you finally meet the girl of your dreams or the guy of your dreams, whatever you're into, right?
Yeah, of course.
Whatever it is, when you meet that person, they will value that you're not expecting them to do it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right? And there is value to learning how to take care of ourselves. And so we're going to create on certain days of the week, you're going to take the trash out. You know, once a week, you'll do the laundry. If there's laundry, other than that, I'll do it, you know, but creating those kind of schedules, creating those boundaries can be really helpful.
And I definitely agree with you on that. And I think that, you know, there has been a consistency issue between whose house that they're at. And I feel a little bit like, you know, I think I overcompensate a little bit because I'm still in the
Guilt, because,
where it's like, this isn't fair. They shouldn't have to have two houses. Like, but starting with 2025, I mean, I'm trying to be a lot more intentional. I think that life has settled down quite a bit. Things are resolved, you know, and I want to raise boys who are going to be good men.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's always, and it used to be that I, you know, before, you know, I've always said that like they can be any and all the things in the whole wide world, but I just want to raise good humans.
Yeah, exactly.
I love
and
that.
you already do things that are, you know, consistent with that. You're so involved with making sure that they have some fun and involved in their athletics and involved in their activities. And I mean, and it's hard when you're trying, like you said, working 12, 13-hour days and you're
I
tired.
can't imagine.
Yeah.
I can't. I take care of a dog, and that's a lot. And I can't imagine what would be
And
like.
then my dog, when I have her, she's got epilepsy, so I'm like, oh God, please don't have a seizure.
Yeah, I can't even fathom what my mom went through with me, and at my age. Like,
But you know what, though? I think why I love and respect you so much, Susan, and I feel like you and I have like bonded so quickly is just, and of course you, obviously. I don't want to take care of people to enable people. I want to be a person that shows up and can help. And I want my kids to be that way. And, you know, when we kind of went back to that asshole thing, like, I don't want to raise that because I see that happening so much, the entitlement and whatever. I mean, our lives are what they are, but I just want to be sure that my kids understand that, like, there's, especially as men, you know, like
there is a level of privilege.
Yeah.
Being a man, being a white man.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, there is, and they don't know a whole lot different, and
Right.
Exactly. And so
and it's not their fault.
No,
it's the other part.
No, it's
but
not.
how can you expose them and ensure that they have a heart?
But you already are because you acknowledge it.
Right.
Like, man, just someone acknowledging that, right? Like, that's the first step in the 12-step process. But, like, you know what I mean? Like,
Not we follow the 12 steps.
No, we don't.
Because we drink wine.
Yeah.
But
Well,
I'm
I mean,
just saying,
Hunter said, you know, because I was like, you know, it hurt my feelings so much, Hunter. Like, I'm trying to, like, talk to him. I'm like, you walked past me all day long and didn't even acknowledge me. I was like, do you understand how much that hurts my feelings?
Yeah.
And he was like, well, I mean, it was just, I just was, you know, I mean, I just kind of, you know, I mean, of course, he's just a boy and whatever.
Yeah.
And I said, you know, and again, going back to the whole thing, like, I'm like, that whole feeling of not being acknowledged and feeling lonely is, like, really triggering for me. I was like, I experienced that in the last couple of years of, you know, whatever. And I don't want to say too much but I also feel like I need to be honest with him and say, this is why. He's like, you're always mad at me. You just feel like you're always mad at me. And you think that I don't talk to you.
Shut up.
And
I see your face right
oh my God.
It gets better when they turn like 27.
I know. That's what my friend said. He's going to come back. He's going to come back.
But yes, you did that before.
I did. But girls mature faster than boys. They just do. I mean.
But yeah, so I just said, you know, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but you are my son. And I said, not only that, I said, I don't have anybody else to observe what you're doing and say, oh, Amanda, like, you're being ridiculous. Like, this is just what a boy does, or this is just what a whatever teenager does. I was like,
right.
I said, so I'm sorry if I come across. So finding those little small moments with him.
Yeah.
That we can kind of connect and at least have
an
3 minutes of conversation.
Yeah.
And you're being honest. Honesty is the key. I think that's the key to being honest, but using good judgment in that honesty. There are a couple of books that I found that I thought were really kind of cool. One that really doesn't apply to you, but I thought it was kind of interesting, is called The Mama's Boy Myth. You can tell I've been drinking wine.
That's a hard thing to say. Mama's boy myth.
That's hard
myth.
with or without
right.
daily cap or our daily cap.
It's like,
Yeah, exactly. So did you even say the name of the wine?
Yeah, I did.
Are you sure? Okay.
Yeah. Thanks for having my back.
Thank you. By Kate Lombardi. But I thought 2 of the books that I thought were really the most interesting, and I actually would be interested in reading them just for information, you know, shits and giggles, I guess. I don't have boys.
Well, you kind of do, because you have you have one day Sunday.
I have your Adam.
You have my Adam, who will
right.
one day, be a son-in-law. And it's really interesting. I can't wait to talk to him about how different his upbringing was.
So one of the books is called
great.
It'll be interesting.
Yeah.
Wild Things, The Art of Nurturing Boys by Stephen James and David Thomas. And what I liked about that is it's written by men.
Is this the David Thomas that's with here in town? What's the...
I don't know.
Okay, anyway, keep going.
Anyway, and then the final one, if you've got tweens or teens, Rosalind Wiseman's Masterminds and Wingmen. And I just felt like, you know, again, it's tough raising teenagers. I think it's tough when you have a healthy dynamic in a home where you have both parents, and it can be a mom and a dad, or a mom and a mom, and a dad and a dad. But if you have 2 humans, adults, in a household who are raising...
It is that Thomas.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, it is that, yeah.
So you'll have to fill me in.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think that it's easier because you have that person to balance. Mm-hmm. You know, you have that person that at the end of the day you can go, did I overreact? Or what did you think?
See, we have that right now because I have Adam, and he's very honest with me about things. I'll say things like, was I bitchy? And he would be like, what? Well, he also knows how to handle me. I'll be like,
I'm telling you right now, if you're that person.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. He'll be like, well, it was a little harsh. You're being a little harsh to your mom. Or he'll say like, your mom might be a little stressed out. So, and he said before, I don't think this is a good time for you two to talk to each other because you're both stressed out and you're not going to talk to each other.
And I love that he has that.
And we're adults, but we're living in the same freaking
house. I know, but still, mother-daughter. I mean, my mom, there's not many people that make me crazier than she does. So having somebody there that's like, okay, let me just be the temperature gauge over here and like pull you in. you know, and so that's one thing, like when with parents, but like, you know, with relationships or whatever, you know, I am very protective of the kids.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to push anybody on them, but then I also want them to understand that, like, okay, it's also okay for mom to have a relationship.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And so, like, that, and especially with boys, you know,
I feel like they're so much more protective.
yes,
Yeah.
they're very protective, but then also, like, I don't want to.
They are also
That's a whole nother
fearful
episode, I think.
that a
Yeah,
man
quite
will come in
honestly.
and take the role of their father. There's a
And I will
different
never ever do
perspective.
that. I
Right.
will never ever do that. And I've made that very clear to anybody that I've, you know, current situation, you know,
Yeah.
but that I'm not doing that. Like,
Yeah.
their dad's their dad.
Well,
Yeah.
it's clear you're doing a great job.
Yeah, for
I don't know.
everything that you
Sometimes it feels
like
I know.
no, everything that I'm hearing, I'm just like, wow, she's great. Like you honestly sound amazing. Like I feel like the boys are very lucky to have you.
Thank
I
you.
think it's incredible that you have your youngest in therapy. I think that's something that many people don't think about. And I know my mom always tells me like, I wish I had put you in therapy.
Well,
you know?
and I think it's different now than, I mean,
It is different now. It's a different
There was a
time.
different, not even it was a stigma back in the day, but like,
But it was.
I mean, I still struggle myself going to therapy. I
Yeah.
mean, first it's just really finding the time for it. And I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, I'll get to it when I can. But I do see the struggle of my son, whether he's a boy or girl, having a difficult time. And I am just glad that, you know, we are able to do that
Yeah.
and carving out that time for him to be able to go and have that person to talk to. And, you know, we get through, you know, at the end of the session and I just say, okay, is there anything you want to talk about? And he's like, no.
yeah.
I'm like, okay, that's fine. Corinne is your safe space or
I think
whatever.
that's great.
But then sometimes he does want to talk. And then he starts saying things and then I'm like, oh my gosh. So
But you're already creating that healthy boundary by not asking him what happened.
But then I
And
will say
creating a
this.
safe space.
Yes.
Correct.
For him to
Yeah.
share or not share.
Right.
I said, and that's what I said. I said, babe, this is your time. This is, you know, you come to me with anything.
Right.
You know, he'll get the Sunday scaries and come into my room and have anxiety about school and all the things. And he's like, Mom, can I sleep with you tonight? Can we watch a movie? Can we do
Yeah.
this? And I'm like, babe, whatever makes you feel good. He is the emotional one.
Yeah.
The other one isn't. So it's like trying to find what speaks to each of them differently.
And
Poor-
every
poor
child
you,
is
because-
different. Every
Yes.
child.
I feel bad for you because you had the both.
All in one.
I was the Hershey's Kiss with the white chocolate and the milk chocolate. There was some dark chocolate in there. That was a lot.
But honey, it's all worth it.
It is
It
all worth
is
it.
all worth it.
It is all worth it. And I do want to say that to single mothers that are listening to this,
Yeah.
that, you know, aren't sure what to do as far as like when you split, because like you like I said, you have to separate heartbreak from co-parenting. Like that,
Right.
it has to be two separate and totally different things. And you,
Yep.
I mean, and I'm not saying push away, but the kids are always going to be the first and foremost because this is the formative part of their life. And I had said that from the very beginning that I don't want this to be the thing that defines them.
Right.
This divorce cannot define them. It has to be something that happened, and it has to be something that they understand that it will not dictate their future relationships.
Right.
That they cannot think that love isn't a great thing. I mean, we
Yeah.
had a very great love. It just changed over the years, and it but we
Some
have
people make mistakes and make decisions that it's hard to move beyond.
Well, and honestly,
Right.
like
Yeah, it
everyone will
doesn't
go through a
change.
breakup. Like at some point, like I mean,
Right.
unless you're like Lucy Ann and Bob
Bobby Joe?
Thank you. who meet in 9th grade and end up getting married, but who will eventually probably divorce. You know, but I'm saying like,
or live their entire lives
together,
very happy.
Who knows?
Who knows?
But I know many people are gonna have breakups, right? Because it's just you're learning and you're growing with someone.
Yes.
Sometimes, and it's true. Sometimes you grow together. Sometimes you grow apart. Doesn't mean you don't have a love for that person,
Correct,
or respect for that person. But you can fall out of love. Like you can. That's a thing.
And some people have intimacy issues.
Yeah, me.
Yeah.
I do. We all know it. It's fine.
Anyway,
Well, the boys, though, I think that the boys know that their dad and I are a united front, which is what it has to be.
So
like
that's
I can't even as much as he's gone and traveling, whatever, in business, whatever. We have to be a united front, and we are. And so, kind of when we come out of those, like what I was saying about the therapy, when he felt like talking to me about a very heavy subject, which was hard to discuss with him, I knew I had to call his dad.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Separately, and not, not feel like I was betraying his trust, but he needed to know. Like, so we make it a very conscious effort to communicate in that way. And I can call him and express to him and be like,
that's great.
Your son is driving me crazy. Or we'll say your oldest or your youngest.
Yeah,
or whatever.
right, yeah,
like your oldest today. And he's like, well, your youngest today. And I was like, I don't know what to do. And we
But that's really...
we'll talk to them together and stay on the same page. And there are occasions where I think that he's not thinking as an adult, but I think that's any man. Really.
I think that's a man.
That would happen even if you were living together.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
So honestly, we're better apart than we are together. So.
Right. So, but there is that connection, and the boys just know that they can't manipulate. They may try because
they know they can't.
Yeah.
They can try.
But that's really down to you creating that, because so many people, right, don't think about like how, I mean, they do think about how divorce or breakups can affect their kids, but you have such this conscious just knowing of like you still put your oxygen mask on first, and you're able to put theirs on too. Like, you have a great way of, like, I know you say you kind of put the heartbreak aside, but you feel it, but you give yourself a different time to do it. You don't do it in front of them, which is important. And I think...
Y'all are going to make me cry.
And I think that...
You're a great mom. It's
clear.
Clear.
Everything that I'm hearing from you, I think these boys are going to grow up and be phenomenal. Like, I've never met them, but I hope to one day.
Yeah.
Just because I think, 16 is hard. I didn't like boys when I liked boys when I was 16, but I didn't like 16-year-old boys. I was 16 and I like 20-year-old people. So, it's like nobody likes a 16-year-old boy, but they grow. I mean, they have
13 and 14-year-old girls like 16.
Yeah, that's true too. Okay,
so
well,
15-year-old girls.
Anyway, but what I'm saying is, I don't know what it's like to be a boy. I know that I was close with a lot of guys because it was easier to be close with them because girls are bitches.
Can be.
They were, especially at my age, and I definitely saw differences in the guy friends that I had and like how their parents were with them, or how even they were with me, right? Like the friends that I knew were genuine friends, and the friends that were like, oh, I'm only your friend before, for that reason.
Because I'm going to try.
Right.
For that reason.
Many failed. But I think it's great that you give them the space
and the grace.
Yeah, and the grace to be who they are, go through what they're going through, because hormones are a thing. It's not going to change. It's probably,
it's going to get worse.
It's going to,
and he's going to be hitting the road in like 2 weeks, and I don't even know how to.
You and your dad, you and his dad.
Life 360 is like,
just need to put some clear boundaries.
Yeah,
these are the things. If you and giving them the permission to celebrate and understand their successes, but also to recognize their failures.
Yeah,
and the natural consequences that come from those failures. And those natural consequences.
Not failures. I hate the word failure because it's
I know
like,
you do, but if you
mistake.
get into
it's
an
a
act,
mistake, you know what I mean? Mistakes happen.
If you get into an accident, or if you
But that's not a failure on your part. That could be somebody else's fault.
Yes, it could be, but it could also be yours. I know we don't agree with that. I mean, people need to be able to fail. We learn most from our failures.
Yes, you
and
can
that's
fail.
What I mean.
Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense.
So if they succeed, celebrating the success. If they fail, helping them understand how not to fail again.
Right. And I agree with you on that. And I think that was one of the books that you had in here about success and failures. You know, I'm not in the, I never have been, and I don't believe that their father is either, but, you know, you let them fail and you don't bail them out. Even if it's as small as, hey, I had a sign in at school today because I forgot to do this, and you're like, well, you forgot, like, this is your responsibility.
Right.
So here's the consequence of that.
Right.
You know, and, you know, there are a lot of people that I know, single, married, whatever, they just kind of make excuses for their children. And
you did not make excuses.
I did make excuses at times for you.
At times, but there were also times that you didn't, and you really had my back.
Yes, that's
true.
Now, but on top of that, though, I will say this, because I know we've been going on forever, and I've taken up too much of y'all's time. But
no, we love this.
I think that, you know, with boys especially, there are monumental things that will change the course of their life if they put themselves in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Absolutely.
Correct. Yeah.
And the same goes for girls.
Oh, yeah.
But definitely boys, because there are things that they could get accused of.
Absolutely.
Correct.
And they will never be able to prove otherwise, because it's somebody's word against another person.
Correct.
And I've had a friend who was a single mom whose, you know, husband passed away. We won't even get into all of that, but those are the things that I also think about is like, okay, now that you're driving, now that you're going places, now that you have the autonomy to kind of do different things, be smart.
That's true.
Correct.
I completely agree with that.
And that's a boy thing. So it's like, you know, girls, they're
well, and so what I love is that, and I won't get into it, but I do like that you don't coddle your boys, because there is such a thing that boys will get away with shit because their moms will coddle them and think they're the best thing on there. And you can think your kid's the best thing in the world, like, for sure. But I know I dated one who ended up being a horrific human. I mean, just like charming as could be. Everyone thought he was just the sweetest person. Yeah, basically. I dated like Ted Bundy, just the Irish version. But his mom never thought he did anything wrong. Ever. Like, there was
I will never, ever think that. I will always try to see through the bullshit with my kids.
Yeah.
And call them out on it if I can.
Feel like you're the perfect balance. Like, I think you're doing such a great job because, like you said, you have that space where you can be emotional and you're going to set clear boundaries and tell your kid when he's being an asshole. Like, that's huge. I love that.
Asshole right now. Thank you very much. And that's a good point to end this episode on.
I think you're doing a brilliant job. I know we have talked so much.
Don't be an asshole.
Yeah.
Exactly. Then you need to I'll make you a magnet. Or you make me a magnet. Or a towel or a tea towel or something.
But I think I love hearing your experience because I will never know what it's like to raise boys or girls. But that's my own choice. But I think it's interesting to hear the difference. Like, I know what my mom, we talk about how, you know, raising me was, and I've seen other people raise boys and how they've done it, how those boys have turned out. And I think you've got a really great grasp.
You do. Yeah.
Well, thank you. I'm trying. I do feel fortunate that I have a great band of people around me.
It takes a village.
And it does take a village.
It does. And, you know, everybody has a different perspective and a different thing to offer. I think that 2025, I've been able to start on a bit of a better level ground than I was over the last few years. And I think that me finding myself a little bit more again in what I'm passionate about and what I want to do and who this new version of me is, I think is going to be helpful for them.
Oh, definitely.
To not see me sad.
And they will see you as Amanda and not just mom.
Yeah.
And it's important to have that.
That's great advice for, other women out there who are raising boys or, starting to single parent to, still be you.
Yeah.
You can still be you and still be amazing and be mom.
Well, and the very last thing I'll say is that, I think that there was the me before, then there was the me of going through all of the heartbreak, trauma, whatever. I had multiple family things going on. And then being on the other side of it, like, it said that you don't want to be there's 3 different people there.
Right. Mm-hmm. Right.
And you want to be this version.
You're now resilient you.
Right. And I'm still me.
Yeah.
I'm still the mom. I'm still the this. I'm still the that. But it feels different. And there are moments where it still feels sad.
Yeah.
Like I'm mourning my past or mourning the, what I thought was going to be.
And that's okay.
But also just regaining this like kind of new confidence. I feel like I can be a better mother. Definitely a better mother to the boys, and they can see me as not. I don't know what they see me as now, and we'll
see you as in essence, kind of rising from the ashes.
Right.
So again,
the phoenix.
Right. Exactly. The phoenix. Exactly.
What I think is great is they'll see you for you, right? Yeah. Not what they've created of you in their heads, but they'll see you for you, and I think that's brilliant. I think it's important.
And we should toast brilliance.
Yeah, we should. Yes. Brilliance and resilience.
I don't want to call it brilliance, though. Thank you, ladies. This was so fun.
Thank you.
Definitely fun.
You're a pleasure to talk to. You are wonderful. You're a fantastic mom from everything I've heard. And you're a fantastic host as well. With the cabin. Thank you so much.
Anytime.
We started our whole journey there, and it just
we did.
Well, I'll say this. So today there's an anniversary. January 26th is the day that I closed on the cabin, and it was I've owned a lot of real estate and whatever, but very first my own, completely mine, bought it outright, and it has been the most healing space for me. Of course, the mountain is amazing and I've love it, but that's why I want to share it with y'all and anybody else, because it just, you get up there and it just there's a feeling you can't even describe it. Like they
just kind of go
yeah.
When Baker and I get up there, he's like, Mom, I just love it here so much. And then when we leave, we say goodbye and I love you to the cabin. Like, anyways, I love that y'all have invited me tonight. So thank you.
Well, thank you so much for being so grateful. Thank you for being so vulnerable. I know it's not always easy to talk about these things. And thank you for, being a voice for other moms out there, to boys and single moms and newly single moms. That's incredible.
Yeah.
You're really incredible. I'm talking to you. I'm like, I can't wait to talk to you off air because I want to know so much more about you.
Okay. Thank you so much, y'all.
Of course.
Thank you.
Of course.
Thank you.
And thank you to all of our listeners. We appreciate you. Please remember to rate, review, subscribe, and share. And if you have any stories, please send them in. We would love to hear. You can text us on the Apple Podcast app. And you can also email us at larkandmomster@gmail.com. LARKANDMOMSTER@gmail.com. I have to close my eyes every time I spell, you guys. And we hope that you will laugh with us, learn with us, and just, live your best life.
Yeah, we're grateful. We truly are, for everybody who listens.
Yeah.
And if you learn something great, if you just enjoy it,
if we're literally just, background noise in your pocket while you're brushing your teeth, dope. We're happy to be there. So
driving to a tiny house.
Yeah, or driving to a tiny house.
Yeah.
Thank y'all so much. Can't wait till next week. Also, just as a heads up, if you are listening, I'm going to have surgery, so I don't know what the next episode will be like, but it'll be interesting.
But you could be on drugs.
I could be.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
The good drugs.
Right. Until then, over and out.